Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to those who have been attending the KUWAITNET webinar series. Today, we will be exploring about our partner Cloudflare and the services they have to offer. But before we start our presentation, I would like to remind you that this session is being recorded and kindly stay mute during the entire session. And if you have any questions whatsoever, kindly post them in the chat and our subject experts are going to get back to you during the Q&A. Let me welcome Mr. Bashar Al-Hadi, founder, CTO of KUWAITNET, to talk a little more about our partnership with Cloudflare. Mr. Bashar?
Thank you, Noor. Assalamu alaikum and hello, everyone. Welcome to our webinar regarding security and speeding of your websites. Today, inshallah, we'll be speaking about our partnership with Cloudflare, dealing a little bit with their product and service offering. KUWAITNET had started with Cloudflare all the way back in 2018 and as a partner, and we've been growing the business with them, certifying our engineers and pushing our limits with them as a new, let's say, product in the region. Cloudflare goes all the way back for many, many years, serving the internet and serving for the better internet. And we both have the same, let's say, goals. Without further ado, I will introduce our colleague from Cloudflare, Camila, to speak more about the technology and product and services. Over to you, Camila.
Thank you so much, Bashar, and hello, everyone. It's really a pleasure to be on this webinar with you guys, and I'm very happy to share with you our knowledge, what we have today, why it's different, and please feel free to ask any questions you have and just put them into the chat and we will address them right after. I'm going to use a couple of slides to make you a little bit familiar where we're coming from, where it all started, what we're looking at, why are we so different. And also, after I finish the slide, I'd like to share with you a little demo so that you also can see how easy it is to operate with it and how it truly becomes a one single plane for managing your security, performance, and reliability services. Within that, let me share my screen. I'm presenting my screen right now. And I hope you all able to see that. It's loading. So just a few information about Cloudflare. Some of you already know, some of them might be not yet, but the company actually been launched in back to 2010 at the TechCrunch Disrupt out of Silicon Valley in San Francisco. When I joined Cloudflare, it was back in 2014. We had about probably 70 employees. Today in 2020, it's over 1,500. So the growth of the company is really massive. Probably every year we're doubling up. Today we have across 200 different cities in different 100 countries, our points of presence, including China mainland, where we have around 12 POPs, additional one on top of it. Through the Cloudflare network passes about 1 billion of unique IPs daily. So that's where we come in with a really big experience and a database of what's truly happening in whole internet. We serve across 25 million website properties, including applications, APIs, WebSockets that actually using Cloudflare for security and performance. Today we have across all planet 14 offices. And Cloudflare also one of the most interconnected network in the world. We have across 8,800 internet exchanges, with some of them through internet exchange, with some of them physically, direct. So really help us to build that redundancy and resilience for our customers. A year back, company Cloudflare went public on New York Stock Exchange. So that's now a publicly listed company as well. So that's a few facts about Cloudflare. Today, internet requires basically around these three main pillars. You want to make sure that when you have your digital properties on internet, you want to make sure that they're secured. So you protect it against different DDoS attacks, you have protection against data breaches, and of course, any of the malicious bot activity. You want to make sure that you protect it against this. But at the same time, you want to make sure that your performance is still top of the range. You don't want to sacrifice performance when you're using some heavy security things. That's where Cloudflare been really great, because we want to make sure that both of them comes hand in hand, so you don't need to sacrifice one to another. And of course, reliability. This is where we have one of the fastest and biggest DNS server in the world. So that's the Cloudflare network that provides you that thing. And of course, on other types of reliabilities like application availability based on load balancing, either it's a global or local, depending on the levels. So these three makes a main pillar what you want to make sure that you are taking care of when you have a digital properties. Looking back historically, and you can see it was all based on hardware. But we moving now everything to the cloud. So challenges we have today is when you need to maintain that hardware, it becomes expensive, it's hard to use, you want to know which brand you use, that they work together, you want to make sure you tested it right. There is always needs to be a customized hardware for your needs. Also, the consistency of security policy is always different, because different providers have different requirements, and obviously it becomes really challenging to manage all with the same team, different type of infrastructure that you have it here. And of course, human cost associated with all of it. What's happening today, as you can notice it as well, a lot of the companies now trying to go to multi-cloud or hybrid solution to make sure that actually they finally like getting into position where they're no longer locked to the limit of that hardware technology that you have. The modern internet now requires to have a modern solutions. As you can see, 75% of organizations use at least one cloud provider today, and 54 hybrid or multi-cloud. So it's obviously you now actually challenging and new challenges here. So you want to make sure that you're actually up to date with where it actually follows to. And what's needed? You want to make sure you have a global cloud network that provides you with all that top security, performance, and reliability across all your application and platforms that you manage it. So that would be the ideal situation where you have one platform that allows you to manage all of it across all your infrastructure. And this is where Cloudflare comes very handy. And you can see on this slide, it just shows you how simple it is and how does Cloudflare really work. Cloudflare operates as a giant proxy or giant filter where any traffic comes first to Cloudflare network. And if it's a good eligible traffic from visitors, users, or good bots, crawlers, we pass it through to your on-premise multi-cloud, SaaS, or hybrid cloud. But if it's attackers, somebody's trying to hack you or steal some information, bots, we automatically filter it out. So we actually sitting on the edge between your customers and between your infrastructure. This is where actually we're doing the whole protection, but at the same time, we're able to accelerate it. Let's move to another slide. This is Cloudflare network based on Anycast technology. As I mentioned, we have now our points of presence in over 200 cities. We do have our local POP in Kuwait. And this is where the whole operation is happening, so that the traffic actually got processed and operated and accelerated and secured within Kuwait for Kuwait customers. But if you have international traffic, this international traffic will be also accelerated and secured no matter where your customers are or coming from. They will be having a truly fast experience to load the website, even in spite of how far they are from you. 98% of the internet connected population is about 100 milliseconds of our network. And our ambitious goals is to do it even 10 milliseconds. Just to give you an idea, 200 milliseconds is a blink of the eye. So that's where we are trying to build a network that truly supports that redundancy and performance. The capacity of our network is over 42 terabits per second. Historically, we stopped some of the largest attacks, and one of the statistical that we can talk about, official numbers, is about 900 gigabits per second, for example. So the capacity of our network is really big enough to provide you with a solution to mitigate any type of attack, and the size-wise as well. Very important to mention that in comparison with the competitors, Cloudflare data centers, every single data center acts like a scrubbing center, DDoS solution, DNS, TLS, firewall, rate limiting, CDN, basically every single features that we have and services we Cloudflare provides, they all have the same full stack on every single point of presence where we are. So for example, the Kuwait POP, or London POP, or San Francisco POP, they all run the same set of services and features to provide exactly the same experience. So this is where we have the same software that we run in to make sure that you have the same experience across all entire world. So in terms of how Cloudflare works to onboard customers, we do have an interface, a user experience interface, where you can easily edit domains, subdomains to Cloudflare, simple change of DNS, and it's actually up and running. It really takes a few minutes to do that. But for some customers, they prefer to do it over API. So we have a full actually API features that are available for you, that you can easily recreate whatever we have in dashboard. It's fully API driven. Plus, for bulk actions and configuration, you can also use Cloudflare Terraform plugin. So everything propagates within a second. When we talk about different services, for example, you want to purge the cache, you want to turn on the web application firewall specific rule or custom rule, it takes effect almost immediately. Within like 15-30 seconds maximum, it will be already propagated across all 200 data centers. The same thing, if you realized that you made a mistake in one of the rules, you can immediately withdraw it, pull it, so that it's also within the seconds actually like pulled out. And you know, with some of the competitors, it's not the case. It might take hours before it got propagated. And if you made a mistake in the script and you want to withdraw it, it will take another hour. So you might have some customers affected, not with Cloudflare, everything happening extremely fast. Also, for everything that requires custom logic, we do have a very developer-friendly interfaces for serverless technology that we have actually Cloudflare Workers that supports Java-based environment and of course everything that actually needs to be customized. You have a specific cache logic or maybe rerouting logic, or you have a specific authentication needs. That's all can be easily done with the custom code logic. So that's also supported with Cloudflare. So in this case, if you see the customers using different solutions, SaaS, platform, on-premise, hybrid, all of these things, you need to have a one unified control plane from where you can actually push the same security policy across all of them. You want to make sure that you have exactly the same experience. So you have one person who manages all of these infrastructures from one place, and Cloudflare helps a lot. We do have a lot of customers who use that type of like solutions, and for them, it's really now easy whenever they have a new policy, security policy, new web application firewall rule, to push it through all of their environments. They can do it with Cloudflare within a second. They either API or our Cloudflare UI interface for it. Talking about different solutions that we actually focusing on, you can have a look. We have that main pillars like security. That's the one that probably Cloudflare are well known for, mitigating one of the largest attacks, providing really web application firewall with custom logic, SSL certificates, bot management, IoT security of the devices, and full infrastructure protection as well. In terms of performance and reliability, we do have a really that DNS that we talk about it in a minute. We'll look at the static content optimization with very granular rules for caching and optimizing image mobile content, plus dynamic content optimization based on our intelligent routing solution, which is also extremely fast. And of course, for those who are working from home or they have a remote workers or customers require extra security to access their environment, we do have an option here called Cloudflare for Teams that we're going to touch the basis of, that helps you to provide security and at the same time performance for your customers or clients that work remotely without need of using a standard VPN. Basically, we provide an alternative solutions for it. And of course, for all custom logic, we have that serverless technology platform that called Cloudflare Workers that you can extend any of the features that actually you needed to customize it. You can do it today. So let's have a look why you need a modern solution, why you need a modern technology in order to provide your customers secure and reliable environment. DNS. Today, DNS, one of the oldest protocols and the technologies that have been used and haven't changed for ages, probably for 40 years. With DNS, it's an interesting thing. You don't need much, but if your DNS got stopped working, got attacked, or you have a problems there, none of your customers will be able to reach out to you. That's where the problem is. It works so fluently and perfect when you actually have it working done. But if it stops, no matter how well your web server works and everything, if your DNS server stopped working or got attacked, game over. That's why you want to make sure that you're using top of the class DNS providers. So today, Cloudflare is actually one of the fastest in the world and one of the biggest in the world. About 40% of the population internet using Cloudflare DNS. And you can see based on third-party investigations and research, you can see Cloudflare is one of the fastest as well. It takes about 11 milliseconds to do the lookup and less than 5 seconds to propagate worldwide DNS records whenever you update anything in Cloudflare records. So you can see it really gives you a really great boost on technology. On top of it, DNS here presented of every single POP. As I mentioned, every single point of presence in Cloudflare does every single task, performs every single task. So DNS is basically running on all these 200 data centers. So across all of them, you got a higher redundancy with zero downtime. If one of the POPs goes down, the traffic automatically rerouted to the nearest one. So the customer's client, they won't even notice it if there is any disruption to it. Plus, on top of it, we always make sure that every single data center that we have it here, we have several alternative providers connections. So in case if one is affected, we always have another second or third or fourth available to push the traffic through. So that creates that redundancy. Integrated security. If you use Cloudflare DNS, it always comes with the security. It's unlimited DDoS protection. You have a DNS sec included. Basically, we started that DNS sec, and after others start repeating it as well, including that DNS sec into their DNS providers, but also unlimited DDoS mitigation that we also provided you with, which means that if you got hit by one of the largest attacks constantly, you're not going to be charged for all that traffic that's generated by that DDoS attack. You're still going to pay only just for clean traffic. So you always know your bill is always predictable with us. Looking at the offer on DNS, you can decide, you can go with alternative DNS provider where Cloudflare will take care of your DNS records and you will manage DNS records with Cloudflare. Or if you want to have alternative backup plan, you can use Cloudflare as a secondary DNS. So this is something that up to you how you would like to use it. So that's absolutely optional. And also, if you would like to protect and have just a firewall in front of your DNS, we can provide you with DNS firewall solutions as well. So it's really flexible and depends on your strategy and your company, how you would like to set it up. Now let's move a little bit to security, because today with security, if you might remember several years ago or maybe 10, 15 years ago, attacks were about like maybe 10 megabits per second, 11 megabits per second, after they got in gigabits, and the recent attacks was about 2 terabits per second. Yeah, so it's all growing, but also not just the volume of attacks growing, but also the sophistication of attacks is growing as well. You might remember most of attacks like SYN flash, DNS flash, volumetric attacks, they all were actually mostly situated in level 3, level 4 of the OSI model. Yeah, it was either network level or IP level. They were trying to DDoS you with volume so that your server is not reachable. So this is something that Cloudflare does automatically for all our customers globally. And we're doing a very good job here. The most interesting and most sophisticated and most expensive attacks happening now on level 7. An application level. This is where they start using now different bots, algorithms, scripts, anything that actually imitate the human traffic, but at the same time can create a harm to your business. So these are very hard to distinguish, and you need different ways how to protect yourself from it. Having indoor in-house solutions won't help you with it. It's extremely hard. Just blocking IP or blocking the AS number won't help you with stop that attack. It can be easily changed, easily manipulated or spoofed. In this case, you need someone who has the constant expertise on how these attacks developing and make sure that we're able to protect you against all of them. I'll give you an example. When somebody is trying to attack you, yeah, for example, we have in Australia, in Sydney, we have a company who is trying to attack a little shop or little bank branch there. We see this attack because we have customers all over the place. And it's not just enterprise, but it's also free and self-serve. So seeing these attacks, small attacks that done against shops or branch will help us to create that expertise on it. Because what's happening next, the same attacks, when they successfully done it against smaller customers, only then they move to that attack and do it on a bigger customers like famous banks or governments, etc. Yeah, by being exposed and having customers from all over the place on different levels of plans, we are able to see all the picture, not just the one that only based on that specific customer, certain pattern of customers, but whole range of it. With 25 million properties, Cloudflare does see just a billion of attacks happening on our platform. What's happening next? In Cloudflare, we have developed a DDoS protection that works out of the box. So if it's something more or less standard attack, we do have a standard algorithm that actually looks, takes off, and within 10 seconds, it starts the mitigation. For those who actually have a more sophisticated attacks, yeah, we have much more different tools that helps you to create that granular rule to only stop and mitigate that specific attack without affecting your customers. You can implement rate limiting, you can have a top-of-the-notch bot management solution, or you can have a replication firewall with custom rules logic that helps you to actually mitigate this type of attacks. So this is where the most expensive attacks happening. That's why you want to make sure you have a top-of-the-range technologies to stop that type of attacks. On Cloudflare, our DDoS solution is very sophisticated because we're looking at the different patterns and signatures and different traffics to see what the weight of the request, to see what the sequence of the headers had been sent to. So it's really a lot of different techniques that we need to evaluate every single request that passes through Cloudflare, SSL handshake, yeah? What the script was used, or the cipher, is it from that Chrome browser or another one? So that we always see through, and our IP reputation database is really magnificent. We are able to see if this IP address has been used for the recent DDoS attacks or for bots, or it has been hijacked or spoofed. So this is everything help us to mitigate attacks really, really successfully, and having other top of the tools that help us to make it even more successful. And after that, once we go through a couple of more slides, I will show you the demo of how it's easy can be set it up with Cloudflare. One big differentiator, Cloudflare is actually always on solution. So when you got hit by attack or something happening with the network, it's always on. It's not something that you need to know. You need to move the traffic on scrubbing centers pointing to, and once it's over, you need to point it back, with problem that sometimes that competitors have scrubbing centers only once per area. So it really creates problems with latency and other issues. In Cloudflare, every single data center acts like a scrubbing center, DNS, security, DDoS mitigation. Every single feature is there. That's why the mitigation happens instantaneously there. So you can see it there. In terms of the technical advantage, this is where I mentioned on DDoS attacks, you have every single Cloudflare data center equipped with all that logics to look at the signatures, patterns, attack detection, 10 seconds mitigation that takes in place immediately. So this is all makes our network is quite unique. On WAF, you have a different firewall rules. Is it the one that you get used to a WAF mode security? You can go with Cloudflare rule sets, or you can do custom logic rules. That's all available there for you. Right. When we're talking about COVID, today made us all work remotely. And what's happening when we work remotely? We sitting in our homes or maybe some specific office location, which is not secured as it used to be in our offices. So maybe the teammates will use their own computer for doing the job tasks for the work. So it all creates an extra level of vulnerability and potential being hacked or attacked while they within their vulnerable network. So this is where we come up with the Cloudflare for Teams, and we are the first one who actually using it. I remember back to 2015, 16, when I was traveling, visiting partners, I always had to connect to VPN to make sure that I'm able to reach out our internal tools or materials that I need to work to do my work. And the problem was with the VPN, it was always hard to implement it. You needed always the team who will do that. The problem with it that it's not mobile friendly. You always have to work with your desktop or laptop computer. If you have on airplane, for example, or any other Wi-Fi, some of them just blocking VPN traffic. So no matter how I would try, it just blocked. So it was really hard to achieve some of the tasks when you're away from the office. So this is where we said, why don't we use some IDP providers, identity providers, to get authenticated to be sure that we're actually able to access it without installations of VPN. So Cloudflare is the first one. We adopted our own solution in order to start working across remotely whenever we're traveling. So basically what happened is that this is the old solution of VPN, where once the hacker has access to VPN, he has access to everything, because here it's hard to create user-based roles permissions. You just either have access to everything or nothing. So with Cloudflare solution, what we've done, we basically removed all VPNs, and all we've done, every single page, every single content we need to access from outside, we need to be first identified and authenticated against our identity provider. In this case, it's Okta, it's Google G Suite, it's Microsoft Azure, many others that actually there support SAML protocol version 2. So it helped us to make people who is a developers, accountants, sales, technical, have their own user-based role access to materials. So this is very easy to implement, and it helped us a lot to work with it. So basically here it shows you the algorithm. You're using one of the identity providers, it authenticates, and now you have access either to the internal products or external applications. So it really depends. It works with both. And another part, we also have it, it's a gateway. It's to make sure that when you're working from home or from another insecure environment, every single content you'd like to open it in internet, before you open it, it goes to specific Cloudflare DNS gateway, where it's checked against if this is the link that contains malicious script or not, then it's actually stopped from executing it. So it's another way how you can protect your employees or customers who are working from home or other insecure environment for themselves. For example, what happened, we have a couple of, for example, cases where the customer clicked on the link that was actually a simple phishing link, and it took them to the page and they got compromised. So with this solution, if you open your email on at home on your laptop where we have that DNS gateway available, it won't be executed. It will be just blocking the link and says it got blocked due to phishing malware link. So you're going to be protected. So it's really lots of modern technologies that today you can benefit even when you're working from home from your internet. As I mentioned earlier, we want to make sure that once you're using security, top of the range solutions, you want to make sure you also have access to the top of the range performance solutions. In this case, Cloudflare provides you with really different stack of solutions. We focus in not only on static content, where we do the web content optimization, mobile content optimization, image optimization, streaming for videos, but we also look at dynamic content optimization. Many of us have services that require access to databases, or we have a customers who is really dependent on really fast changes on the website, like internet stock exchange, weather forecast, anything with the forms. This case, we have an intelligent routing, which called Argo Smart Routing, that basically what it does, it takes your request, dynamic request, and analyze which is the path is the fastest one. As I mentioned, we have alternative routes everywhere. Once it's found the fastest route, it just sends that data across it. It gives you up to 60%, sometimes more, boost on top of our standard CDN performance. So it's really, really magnificent to work with this type of technologies. And of course, access to China network. If you have China customers, or your customers required access from China, we do have also our brands and points of presence there that we use in cooperation with Baidu, with JD Cloud, that actually helps you to run your services there easily as well. So this is the smart routing that I spoke about. So you can see this is a standard route that usually it goes to. Sometimes it can be congested. So that's why every second we are checking and pinging every other connection. And if we see that this is an alternative connection is much faster, it just sends the traffic over it much faster. Of course, tiered caching, different level of caching also helps you to boost the performance. This is something we can create a default tier caching architecture for you. For example, in each region, you will have a master POPs and you will have a subsidiary POPs that instead of going all the way to the origin, it will go first to the master POPs to take the version from the cache and serve it to the customer. So it helps reduce the time significantly when we have a customers across the world. Within that, let's have a look at the demo. I hope you are still with me, you stay in it, and let me share the screen. This is Cloudflare user interface. It's all API driven. Every single feature we have it here is API driven. So basically in front of you is a single platform, single interface where you have a security and performance and reliability features that you can use and manage across all your website properties. Right now, I'm under my account and I have domain cf-analytics.com that's protected by Cloudflare. My DNS managed by Cloudflare. So I have here a simple DNS table where I can actually add, remove, update different DNS types records. And we have really a lot of options that we support. So you can decide, and you can see it's really advanced. You can actually decide which one you would like to proxy through Cloudflare. Gray cloud means that it only works as a DNS. Orange one only means that it's actually now finally passing through Cloudflare and applying all the security, all the performance on top of it. So that's something that will always help you to support and protect those specific records that we want. Ideally, of course, we recommend to protect all of the possible subdomains and root domains you have it in place. With the name service of Cloudflare, you can do a custom name servers, and DNSSEC is done automatically. You can see all I need is just to click enable DNSSEC. Within several minutes, it got implemented and propagated. So everything takes literally seconds. In terms of security part, so we have a couple of tabs. For example, firewall helps you to create specific firewall rules where you actually can create a custom rules, how you like it, protect your own infrastructure. You can decide what fields you would like to do it with it at the IP address, you want to do anything with it, request message, refer, URI path. You can look at our specific Cloudflare fields like bot score, threat score. Based on them, you can decide what logic you would like to apply. You want just to log it, you want to block it, you want to insert JavaScript challenge or captcha or bypass it or allow it. So it's really, really quite extensive. And of course, you have options how you can create IP access rules. You can block not just IPs and SN numbers, but you can block the whole countries, block or challenge or allow. So it really gives you more flexibility when you are under attack or you need to implement a specific logic for your needs. Rate limiting, of course, is really very powerful for brute forcing attacks. That also for your API, if you would like to implement rate limiting, you can do it with Cloudflare easily. And many more. The same with the speed. You have a specific caching solutions with the cache performance analytics, which shows you which content has been cached, which content has been missed. So you can immediately adapt the rules and cache that content that have been missed to understand why it hasn't been cached. What is the slowest pages you have? You can actually do everything here and make a rule based on what you have it here. We have a specific page rules for it. We have a specific caching rules that you can put in place, and it takes literally seconds to propagate with different redirects and other parts. So on terms of the technology, you know how rapidly it's changing. Before HTTP, we had HTTP1 and everybody had to adapt to HTTP1. We had IPv4 changing to support of IPv6. Lots of customers, lots of partners, they have been struggling with this technology to support it with their team. What Cloudflare does, we one of the first one implement the most recent latest technologies like HTTP2 with quick protocols, RTT connection example, IPv6, WebSockets, everything here is supported right before it's actually launched. So you can test it, you can use it in front of your customers, able to access and process with Cloudflare any of that type of traffic, but we can connect you to the origin, for example, over all the technology. So you don't need to worry about being always up on top of that technology, because we understand lots of customers, they don't have their bigger teams to do that. Cloudflare relieves that pain from our customers by giving you that option that we're always on top of that technology. And all we need is to be in front of your customers, and it will be supported. So that's next is to try and test any of the technologies that are available there. With Cloudflare, you always be on top of it. Within that, I'll probably stop sharing the screen. I know it's quite a lot of information, but I hope it does make sense. It all works together quite nicely and well. So we can open the session for the questions. And now I'm going to give the word to Amal.
Thank you, Camila, for the very informative session. Just let me share my screen. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Amal Samir, the Product Manager for Cloudflare at KUWAITNET. I would like to thank all of you for attending our webinar. KUWAITNET is really proud of being a partner with Cloudflare. As Mr. Bashar mentioned before, KUWAITNET has a certified sales team and more than 8 certified Cloudflare engineers. As you can see on my shared screen, these are our certified Cloudflare engineers who we are proud of. Our business and technical team are ready to give you the full support to secure, protect, and optimize your business availability and reliability. Our contact details are shared on the screen. You can just take a screenshot if you want, and you can find it also in the chat window. Please feel free to reach us for any queries, requirements, required demo, or consultancy. We will be glad to deliver you the best solution. Before starting the Q&A, I would like to thank you again and looking forward to hearing from all of you. Thank you.